My previous video used the pit bull lobby as an example, and now we are going to delve much deeper into the subject. Let's jump right in. The pit bull lobby is a complex network of organizations and individuals advocating for pit bulls. According to the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, CBC, the pit bull industry is a multi-million-dollar group with lawyers, lobbyists, and celebrity endorsements. Among other things, it employs various tactics that have drawn criticism, and for good reason. Such tactics include disinformation and propaganda. The pit bull lobby uses propaganda techniques to promote a positive image of pit bulls, while downplaying the breed's very real potential for aggression, and they downplay the severity of attacks. This has been compared to the tactics used by the tobacco industry to deny the link between smoking and cancer. Cherry-picking data. They will use data very selectively to support their arguments, while ignoring or downplaying studies that highlight the risks, dangers, and documented reports associated with pit bulls and their infamous attacks. Speaking of attacks, next up is attacking critics. The pit bull lobby is known to aggressively attack and intimidate critics, including journalists, researchers, and victims advocates, to silence dissent and control the narrative. They also misrepresent breed identification. The pit bull lobby often argues that it is difficult to accurately identify pit bull-type dogs, which is used to undermine breed-specific legislation, BSL, and cast doubt on media reports of attacks. The website, dogsbite.org, goes into some detail on this. It is important to note that there are several key players and organizations associated with and central to the pit bull lobby. But before that, and actually a lot of this information will be repeated, I want to read out a great series of posts from Reddit that gives a good breakdown of this nefarious network.
Prepare yourself for a rabbit hole. All roads lead to Best Friends Animal Society, or BFAS, which began as a church. It was called the Process Church of the Final Judgment, an end-times cult that treated dogs better than children. They were losing members rapidly, so they switched gears and opened an animal sanctuary in Utah in the 80s. They needed to keep their tax status as exempt. It really put the no-kill movement on the map, and it exploded from there. The Michael Vick incident was a huge catalyst in the no-kill and anti-BSL movement too. If I recall correctly, these pro-pit organizations were paid around $18,000 for each of Vick's pit bulls they took in for rehabilitation. The motive is money. It always is. One might think there is no money in pit bulls, but take a look at their financials and you'll see how much money is flowing through the organization. As long as shelters keep spewing the nanny dog myth and churning pits out to unsuspecting homes, the more grants and donations they receive, and the more it looks good on paper for their success rates. Follow the money. Also, to give you an idea how big Best Friends Animal Society is today, there are thousands of network partners in every state, which consists of shelters, rescue organizations, low-cost spay and neuter campaigns, and trap/neuter/return programs for feral cats. BFAS received $98.5 million in donations just from individuals in 2021, which was still less than half of total revenue for that year. Best Friends Animal Society, BFAS, and their motto, "Together we can save them all." They have a huge influence, aka money, on shelters in the U.S. Shelter workers are just doing what they're told, and one way to succeed is to mislabel the pit bull as another breed. Animal Farm Foundation, which the founder used millions of dollars of inheritance to put pressure on organizations to lift any law that targets pit bulls or breed-specific rules. They bought the National Canine Research Council, NCRC, to research and study data that puts pits in a positive light. This is why there is so much propaganda out there that looks like a legit source. It is not a reliable source of information. Other involved organizations that have put pressure on lifting breed bans: American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, ASPCA, the Humane Society of the U.S., American Kennel Club, which does not recognize pit bulls as a breed, American Dog Breeders Association, which was originated to register fighting dogs and still registers pit bull lines to lobby against breed-specific protection laws. All of these organizations are participants and have issued white papers, including NCRC data and other biased findings, to influence BSL laws in the U.S. And when I said data before, note the use of quotations.
So yes, key players.
There is the Animal Farm Foundation.
This is a major funding source for the pit bull lobby, with a stated mission of securing equal treatment and opportunity for pit bull dogs.
The National Canine Research Council
is a subsidiary of AFF and produces studies that support the lobby's arguments against BSL. However, this research is biased and lacks scientific rigor. Again,
Best Friends Animal Society.
This organization is involved in lobbying efforts and has corporate sponsors and celebrity endorsements. It has put forward the idea that any restrictions on pit bulls constitute, and I quote, discrimination.
Then there's Lady Van Cavage.
This is a senior legislative analyst for Best Friends Animal Society. She drafts state-level bills to eliminate local pit bull ordinances and is a board member of AFF.
Conflicts of interest and financial interests.
The pit bull lobby receives funding from various sources, including wealthy donors and animal rights organizations.
Veterinarian involvement.
The American Veterinary Medical Association has taken a stance against BSL, claiming that it is ineffective and can lead to the euthanasia of healthy dogs, as if preserving dogs designed to fight and kill is a greater priority over public health for humans. Some have said that there may be veterinarians who may support and defend the bully breeds, potentially due to financial gains from treating injured animals, as these breeds are frequently involved in attacks on livestock and horses. Dog defenders will say that this is a controversial claim, but I'll let you be the judge. Do you really think it's that far-fetched?
The pet industry.
The pet industry, including shelters, breeders, and trainers, can be seen as having a vested interest in promoting dog ownership, which includes pit bulls, and thus may support the lobby's goals.
Impact on public safety.
The pit bull lobby's activities have raised concerns about public safety. The lobby actively opposes breed-specific legislation, or BSL. This legislation is designed to reduce serious dog attacks and, in my opinion, it does not go nearly far enough. All the same, this opposition to BSL puts the public at risk by stopping the implementation of measures that could prevent some severe injuries and fatalities. The lobby also promotes misinformation, as noted. Its dissemination of misinformation about pit bulls can be seen as a threat to public safety, as it may lead to a false sense of security and encourage people to acquire pit bulls and pit bull-type dogs, unaware of the dangers. Pit bull advocates in general prioritize the image of pit bulls over the safety and well-being of potential and actual victims of these extreme attacks. Pit bull attacks tend to be more serious than attacks by other, non-bully breed dogs. This is mostly due to the pit bull's physical characteristics and historical breeding. Physical characteristics include the dog's bite strength and mechanics, jaw strength, its tenacity or gameness, and its excessive and often exaggerated musculature. According to several sources, pit bulls are statistically responsible for a disproportionate number of severe and fatal dog attacks. One report found that they were responsible for 66% of fatal dog attacks in the U.S. from 2005 to 2019. Another study indicated that pit bulls and Rottweilers were involved in 76% of total fatal dog bites. The American Veterinary Medical Association and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, have acknowledged that pit bulls, along with Rottweilers, account for the majority of dog bite fatalities. Two more things are worth noting and emphasizing. It is a well-established and widely known fact that pit bulls were bred for bull baiting and later dog fighting, and thus have a genetic predisposition toward extreme aggression. Their extensive history in blood sports is where they get their tenacity and fight drive. It is also worth pointing out that these dogs are relentless in their attacks. They have a high prey drive and low self-preservation. In other words, Once a pit bull initiates an attack, it is difficult to stop. Seriously, it sometimes takes multiple bullets to put these evil beasts down for good. Further, these attacks occur without provocation or warning. This is regularly reported. And finally, and this point really must be hammered home, the results of pit bull attacks are often fatalities, severe facial and head injuries, nerve damage, amputations, permanent disfigurement, and bone fractures, to name but a few examples. Studies show that injuries caused by pit bull attacks often require more extensive medical intervention, including reconstructive surgery, than those caused by other dog breeds.
Vicious dogs and the antisocial behaviors and psychological characteristics of owners, published as far back as 2009 on PubMed Central, the National Library of Medicine. Each year, 4.7 million people are bitten by dogs. Of those bitten each year, 386,000 are seriously injured and some killed. Consequently, many insurance companies refuse to issue homeowners insurance to owners of specific breeds of dogs considered vicious or high risk of causing injury. This study examined whether vicious dog owners were different on antisocial behaviors and personality dimensions. A total of 869 college students completed an anonymous online questionnaire assessing type of dog owned, criminal behaviors, attitudes towards animal abuse, psychopathy, and personality. The sample was divided into 4 groups: vicious dog owners, large dog owners, small dog owners, and controls. Findings revealed vicious dog owners reported significantly more criminal behaviors than other dog owners. Vicious dog owners were higher in sensation-seeking and primary psychopathy. Study results suggest that vicious dog ownership may be a simple marker of broader social deviance. Vicious Dogs Part 2: Criminal Thinking, Callousness and Personality Styles of Their Owners. Published 2012 on PubMed Central, National Library of Medicine. Every year, over 885,000 dog bites require serious medical attention. My own personal note here, notice how the number have increased. Based on human injury and insurance claims, 6 dog breeds were designated as vicious: Akitas, Chows, Dobermans, Pit Bulls, Rottweilers, and Wolf mixes. This study was conducted to expand on previous research examining antisocial tendencies and personality styles of people choosing to own vicious breeds. 754 college students completed a questionnaire assessing type of dogs owned: criminal thinking, callousness, personality, alcohol usage, and deviant lifestyle behaviors. Vicious dog owners reported significantly higher criminal thinking, entitlement, sentimentality, and super-optimism tendencies. Vicious dog owners were arrested, engaged in physical fights, and used marijuana significantly more than other dog owners. However, the homogeneous samples utilized could impact the generalizability of these findings. Choosing to own a vicious dog may be a thin slice indicator of more antisocial tendencies. Owner of high-risk vicious dogs as a marker for deviant behaviors. Implications for risk assessment. Published in 2006 on PubMed Central, National Library of Medicine. This study examined the association between ownership of high-risk vicious dogs and the presence of deviant behaviors in the owners as indicated by court convictions. We also explored whether 2 characteristics of dog ownership, abiding licensing laws, and choice of breed could be useful areas of inquiry when assessing risk status in settings where children are present. Our matched sample consisted of 355 owners of either licensed or sitted dogs that represented high or low risk breeds. Categories of criminal convictions examined were aggressive crimes, drugs, alcohol, domestic violence, crimes involving children, firearm convictions, and major and minor traffic citations. Owners of sitted, high-risk, vicious dogs had significantly more criminal convictions than owners of licensed, low-risk dogs. Findings suggest that the ownership of a high-risk, vicious dog can be a significant marker for general deviance and should be an element considered when assessing risk for child endangerment.
These findings are interesting, but the fact that research suggests a correlation between owning vicious or high-risk dog breeds and a higher likelihood of criminal behavior in the owners is hardly surprising. Further, studies have indicated that individuals with criminal convictions, particularly those involving children, domestic violence, or alcohol-related offenses, are more likely to own these breeds. The psychology of pit nutters could be its own separate video, but it comes down to this simple fact. If you go to virtually any dog information site on the web, you will see the same propaganda and misinformation regurgitated over and over again. This is especially true with regard to pit bulls. All of them say the same bullshit about how pit bulls are poor, misunderstood dogs, and not violent at all, I guess, unless their owners supposedly train or raise them incorrectly. Many pro-pit sources will even lie and say these beasts are good with children. But if you want it to be put in a nutshell, this brief Reddit post summarizes it in the following fashion.
The Pit Lobby is a network of shelters, pit rescues, and animal rights organizations which have created a standardized approach to promoting pit bull-type dogs as family pets, including setting up photo shoots of pits with a history of violence to reduce the well-earned stigma attached to pits, and proactively gifting time, money, and resources, such as legal counsel, to prevent pit bull-type dogs with a history of violence from being euthanized and rehoming dogs with a clear, unambiguous history of violence at detriment to the new owners, their families, and any existing pets. Some of the driving forces behind this network we call the Pit Lobby are the Lexus Project and Best Friends Animal Society.
And then, there is this in-depth response posted on Reddit about a year ago.
The La Presse investigation was the first examination of the lobby by the media and divided the players in the pit bull lobby into 5 levels. Level 1, the financing source. Millionaire heiress and literary agency owner Jane Berkey founded Animal Farm Foundation, AFF, as a horse rescue in 1985. AFF's focus shifted when Berkey, a pit bull owner, discovered that pit bulls were not welcome in many communities. Berkey has given an estimated $6 million to AFF and finances numerous other organizations that share similar missions. Level 2, the researchers. Veterinary technician Karen DeLise founded the National Canine Research Council, NCRC. In 2007, NCRC was purchased by AFF to produce studies portraying pit bulls as being similar to other breeds. The NCRC has a separate 501c4 fund called the National Canine Research Council Action Fund, which supports lobbying and political activities. Level 3, publication. The American Veterinary Medical Association publishes the studies produced by the NCRC in its journal, JAVMA. Level 4, the political lobby. Best Friends Animal Society has a dark and complicated past as the Process Church of the Final Judgment. If you are interested in reading about the Process Church, there are ample books, documentaries, and blogs on the subject. Today, Best Friends no longer functions as a religious organization, but instead serves the pit bull lobby by putting pressure on politicians to eliminate and prevent local pit bull ordinances. Senior advocate Lidie Vankovic also sits on the board for AFF. Best Friends has openly admitted to paying an ex-economist from the tobacco page, John Dunham, to create a fiscal calculation of the cost of BSL. A government committee found that the price was 65 times lower than the estimates provided by Dunham. Level 5. The distributors. The distributors include many animal-based businesses and organizations that profit financially or emotionally from pit bull ownership and serve to disperse studies conducted by the NCRC.
Barb? Barb? What is your freaking problem, Barb?
Hope you've enjoyed this one. It'll certainly teach you how to use the tools, and I think you'll find it very, very rewarding.
So long from
K non-official.
behind the curtain, strings are pulled. The voice of truth is always dull. Puppets dancing on a thread with beliefs they've been fed. They paint the media with their made-up faith, like a toxic cult that refused to evaporate. Dogs do